Hey guys, David Len here. We just played Cyborg from Excalibre Games. There's two versions of this. This is the old version with the boring cover, and there's another version that came out later that had a comic book looking cover, and on the back had like some kind of comic strip on the back cover and stuff. But this is the old version. Essentially what this game is a weird premise. There's like been post-apocalypse war, and there's cyborgs, but there's also things like gargoyles, and there's mutants and stuff, so it's kind of like a cross between fantasy and science fiction. Essentially what's going on is one side is a princess and the other side is the bad guys, and the side with the princess has to get her to basically to some city on an island, which is on the other side of the map, and for the other side to win, they have to capture the princess and throw her in the volcano. But
yes.
There's quite a few different forces on the board. There's mutants, there's gargoyles, and then there's cyborgs. Cyborgs are the most powerful unit.
Yeah.
And Imperial Guard's pretty powerful, and Amazons are somewhat powerful. And then you have the princess's forces also have a ton of villagers. The villagers die like crazy, but they actually turned out to be useful, even though they were the weakest unit. They held up a lot of the other side's forces and stuff. But anyhow, in this game, what happened is you have two special units. You got boats and you have balloons. The boats can go in the ocean or go down the river, so you could use those theoretically to get the princess out of there, or you could use a balloon to do so, or you can march her across the bridge onto the island. That's the most difficult part. In this game, when it was won, a balloon had flown the princess out of there. The game is very bloody. Every turn something dies, and usually quite a bit, and the combat results table, it seems like there's greater than a 50% chance that something's going to be killed each combat. Actually, in some circumstances it's higher than that, depending on what forces versus what force. There's no combat strength written on the counters. You just go to the combat results table, and if you're like a mutant versus cyborg, you go to the mutant side, and then on the other side you go to the cyborg side, and then it says the combat results there. So I thought the game was actually pretty good. I do have for a game with only 4 pages of rules, it was good. The only complaint I have is the counters are god awful. They have like half of the picture of half of the thing's face on the bottom that's like real small, and then in extremely small letters it says what the name of the unit is, and we were passing a magnifying glass back and forth during the game just to see what the counters were. I mean, you can't see them from a distance. Even with reading glasses, you might still need to put a magnifying glass in front of it. Yeah. But what'd you think of it,
Yeah,
Len?
back in the old days, we probably could have read the counters, and we had good eyesight. Actually, I was surprised how good this game. I was expecting some skirmish game between like a super warrior versus soldiers or something like that.
Actually, I have a game like that at home.
I was going to say, there's been several. Instead, we get a Jack Vance fantasy world, a post-nuclear world, where you have both magic and technology. And first I was the counters were very small, very hard to read. At one point, it's just that all my 6 moving units were all mutants. All the 8 moving was gargoyles. And I think that's all I had.
Your gargoyles can fly 3 spaces per turn, though, so that's good.
Yeah. There was once Carbine River that you have a 30% chance of dying if you cross it. But I wasn't sure about the other rivers, but that didn't have an effect. Also, you have balloons and boats. And first of all, there seem to be, I think, about 100 counters per side, 80 to 100 per side.
I'd say probably more than that. I think there had to be at least 200. Well, at least 200 counters in the game, maybe more.
Yeah. And the thing is that, but the thing is, the combat tables are very bloody. There was a lot of like both sides eliminated. So we did about 8 turns, and
No, it had to be more than 8 because we stopped keeping track after 6.
Yeah, I figured we only had 2 more turns after 6. But you could be right. But I had a vastly smaller force than Dave did. And
no, you had a larger force.
It seemed smaller, but the thing
it was larger.
You had 6 cyborgs left, and one thing.
Well, and a ton of other stuff too.
Yeah. And the thing is, with the other stuff, you'd have like mutual elimination. Cyborgs, you had like a 66% chance of killing anything. So if you had a cyborg, you went on the attack. And I only had a 30% chance of wounding him, so I had to hit the cyborg twice.
Yeah, cyborgs are the only unit in this game that take more than 1 hit. I think there's 2 hits per cyborg and 3 hits for the cyborg captain or whatever, or sergeant or whatever the hell he is. And then there's no stacking in the game. It's unless you're like flying in a balloon or a boat or something, then you can stack. But that's it.
And the magic is kind of interesting. I did kill 1 cyborg by gaining control of him and marching him to a volcano.
Yeah, one thing about the magic, I think there's another part of the game actually that needed help. There's no terrain effects in combat, which kind of takes away some of the strategy in the game. I would have, if it was up to me, I would have removed the spells completely from the game, and instead had terrain effects on combat. But
True.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who will disagree with me, though. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of called the game because he picked up the princess with a balloon, and the only anti-aircraft capability was a magic spell, and I had a roll of 1.
Well, you had the gargoyles too, but the problem is they'd have to catch up to it somehow.
Yeah. And he could easily evaded the magic user. And, with the cyborgs, you could go on the attack and kill off my gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I think there was something like only 8, 9 left, and that's easy meat for the cyborgs. Because I started putting my mutants in the front line. For a turn there, you could probably kill the mutants, but the balloon would be far away, so...
Yeah. Another thing you could have done when you saw me taking off with the balloon is you could have taken all of your gargoyles and flew them over to that island and just sat there waiting for me to have to get there.
That's an idea.
I mean, because your gargoyles could... well, I don't know if they could do that because they would have to hover over the water, and they can only fly 3 hexes per turn, so I don't know if they can continually fly. That's a hole in the rules. It doesn't say whether that's actually legal or not.
The way I interpreted it, they have to land by the end of the turn. Yeah. So.
But then again, they could have landed on the island there and just fought the forces there and waited for the balloon.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the forces leading up to the bridge were all eliminated. And maybe what I should have done was retreated that way. And but that would... been very difficult. So, because I was figuring in a turn, if next turn you could get an all-out attack, you had enough units, and killed enough to threaten the wizards and stuff. But isn't that bad?
Yeah. I mean, for a game with 4 pages of rules, we had fun. It's a long game, though. I mean, it took us like 2 hours and 45 minutes to set up and play.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a 2-hour game, but it takes a little...
The setups take us a while, too.
Yeah. So, and it seemed about right.
Yep. All right, I recommend it. You recommend it?
Yeah, I recommend it.
All right, we'll have something for you guys next week. I'm not sure what yet. What could it be? Maybe a microgame. We'll see. See what rule book I get a chance to read this week. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.